Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Footballs podcast, sponsored by Chalkboard, where you simply choose more or less in your favorite player stats and win up to 5,000 times your money. I'm Jim Coventry, and yes, we are going to include today the reactions to Week 12. What a day. So many things to cover. But what do we have to talk about first? Instant reaction number one. And look, the order on these may not be the greatest, but we'll do what we can. Instant reaction number one. The Chiefs are back in the playoff race because they kind of weren't. They were in the 9th seed. They knock off the Colts 23-20 in overtime. Insane game. If you were watching it, you saw the entire thing. And I'll tell you what, that game started out, it was crazy because when it started immediately, we saw that Mahomes throws the interception to Latu. And what happens from there? They scored touchdown from inside the 5, and all of a sudden the Colts are up 7-0, and it is looking like it's going to be a wild game. The Colts scored one more touchdown the rest of the way, and that was it. One touchdown, a couple field goals. Offense stuck in neutral. The Chiefs do not score a touchdown until 9-ish minutes left, roughly. Got all these games going on, but it was probably about 9 minutes left when they scored their touchdown. So we go down, break this thing down. Chiefs win. Give them the credit. We'll talk about them first because now the Chiefs' record is sitting at 6-5. Now, they eventually play the Texans. They're going to have to win that one because that's a tiebreaker team ahead of them. Now, there's that. Beating the Colts. Now, one of those teams will win the division, so the tiebreaker is not going to matter for the wild card stuff, but they need every tiebreaker they can get because they've already lost to teams that are ahead of them in the standings. So it's dicey. But Mahomes, no touchdown passes in this one. 29-46, 352, and a pick. That pick, again, that gave the Colts an early touchdown. And Mahomes runs for 30 yards. So if you were going to tell me no touchdowns and you end up getting 18, 20 fantasy points, not bad. But here's the thing. Kareem Hunt has a day. And when I previewed this game, I talked about Colts are good defense. But they've been without DeForest Buckner for a while. He's been an injured reserve. And that one hurts because with no DeForest Buckner, it's a problem because he and Grover Stewart. And Stewart had a game. But both of them in the middle make it a real daunting run defense. But without one of them, Hunt got going. 30 carries for $104 and a touchdown. He also 3 catches for 26 yards. So Hunt has himself, like I said, he had a day. We were recommending to start him today. He was a good start. Obviously, never a slam dunk. You're not predicting 100 yards, but certainly thought getting in the end zone was a strong possibility. The passing game. Through halftime, I think Rashee Rice had 9 yards. It looked bleak. Now, Rice, if you were watching, he injured his hamstring in the second half. He was in and out of that game late. And they have a Thursday game against Dallas. So we're going to see how this one shakes out. But Rice did not look like he's doing it now. He made a huge catch late in the game. Slid to the ground. I don't think it was a hamstring injury, but regardless, it was a problem. So we'll see what the issue is. He was enough to play. Now, was it adrenaline? We'll see. But Thursday turnaround is going to be quick, but Rice goes 8 for $141. The only receiver with at least 60 yards on Kansas City. Xavier Worthy does go 4 for 59. Look, that's what you're getting these days, right? Eventually, he'll get a long touchdown. We think he will, but it's just clears out space, and then the routes he runs, they're not necessarily dangerous routes. He had some real nice catches in this game, but it's just 31-yard catch. And then the other 3 catches went for 28 yards. So it's just the way it is. Travis Kelce, for him, it was down game, 4 for 43, because he had been performing at a high level. But again, the Chiefs offense, it was not good. They scored their touchdowns really late in this game. They won the field goal in overtime, but Kareem Hunt scores a touchdown. And I'm trying to think if they was it all field goals? I'm trying to think this through how they got that second touchdown. Might have to click play by play and just get that figured out. But so let's see. They had 3 field goals in the first half. They didn't score in the third quarter. And then it was only the one field goal, the one touchdown, because they had a 2-point conversion on that one. So the only touchdown of the day, that's right, was by Kareem Hunt. So crazy enough on that. But so no receivers get in. Rashard Smith got a little usage. 3 for 31 through the air. I do think the Chiefs are going to, if they feel Smith is ready, they're going to have to weaponize him. They need all the help they can get because defenses have been really making it difficult for the Chiefs to score points lately. It's not like it was for a stretch earlier in the season, like before, really right when Rice came back, right when he came back, and even before. But last couple of weeks, not so great. So, but the Chiefs pulled this out. Huge win from their defense. Their defense came up big. They came in with the intention, we are stopping Jonathan Taylor, and we'll get to the Colts side in a second. And they did. And they did. And there were some big 3rd and 4th downs, and they stopped them. The Chiefs defense came out to play. Here's the thing. You can look at numbers about the Chiefs defense all day long, but we have seen this throughout playoff runs in the past. When they have to stop something, they did. I remember last year, I believe it was a game against Buffalo. James Cook in the first half was running it down their throats. Well, guess what happened in the second half? The Chiefs said, you know what? That's how they want to beat us. So we're just going to take James Cook out. And they did. All right, you're bye-bye, James Cook. You're done. And that's what they did. And then, of course, Tyler Bass missed the field goal, yada, yada, go on. But that's the point. The Indy side. You know, realistically, we saw Daniel Jones pull out some wins, not have some good games when doing it. He had some great games. The Pittsburgh game taught us a lot when he had all those turnovers, fumbles, interceptions. He didn't throw an interception here. He didn't lose a fumble here. But it's really hard to think that Daniel Jones is going to take the Colts through a playoff run. Very hard to think that when we're playing December football, and they could get a win, but if they run into 1 or 2 really good defenses, it's going to be really hard to think that Daniel Jones is going to have what it takes to get them through multiple games. Now, there's still a world where if the Colts can, get back on track and win through, if they can get the home field advantage, if they can, not saying they will, but if they do, and they get 1 game off, that's 1 less game they got to play. And then that puts them, 1 game to win to get to the conference championship. So that they really, I think more than most any other teams, I think they desperately need that. But Jones, 19 to 31, 181. He did throw to 2 touchdowns. And again, that 1 touchdown drive was 3 yards? Because that's when Mahomes threw that interception a lot to. So Jonathan Taylor, 16 carries, 58 yards. Now here's the thing. The Colts are winning most of the game. They throw 31 times. And then they run 19 times, 16 times to Taylor. Shane Steichen has been great all year. And I know the Chiefs did a nice job of bottling up Jonathan Taylor. But do you think it might have been 31 carries for Taylor and 19 pass attempts for Daniel Jones might have given them a better chance to win? Just saying. Taylor's eventually going to break his big plays, right? He had 1 27-yard run. His other 15 carries went for 31. So he was 2 yards a carry and then the big run, which he always gets because he's Jonathan Taylor. Ashton Doolin leads team with a 48-yard reception. That was it. Tyler Warren, 5 for 45. Fine, you'll take it. Pittman scored that early touchdown. Otherwise, it was 5 for 27 on 8 targets. I really thought that going into the game, I thought that the advantage for the Colts was in the slot with Josh Downs. 2 catches, 10 yards, 6 targets. Now, there was 1 play in the red zone. He was targeted, and Jones just missed him. Chris Jones came in after him, so I get it. But it could have been a touchdown. Don't know if it would have been, but it could have been a touchdown. But at this point, Josh Downs, love the guy. He's a great player. This offense doesn't work for him. So, if he's on the chopping block on your team and you're worried about starting him, you probably could drop him. If you're going to play him and he's having a bad game, then you're going to sit him. He's going to go off. Not that he'll do that often. So you probably can't really do much of that. But anyway, Chiefs 23, they go to 6-5. The Colts score 20, they lose, they go to 8-3, still in great shape. But Texans are coming on. That division could be a little closer than we think. People will talk to Jaguars, but come on. We'll talk about them later in the show, so no worry with that. All right, everybody, cash in on your NFL picks this season with Chalkboard. Simply choose more or less in your favorite player stats to win up to 5,000 times your money. For a limited time only, new players receive a free pick and 100% deposit match. See why over 1 million fans have already locked in with Chalkboard to turn their sports knowledge into cold, hard cash. Whether you're locking in the perfect sip with alternate lines, using the cash out feature to take your money and run, or hammering the daily promos, today's your chance to win up to $40,000 in a single entry. Stop sitting on the sidelines and get into the game with Chalkboard Fantasy Sports, now available in 30+ states. Download Chalkboard today and use the promo code ROTONFL. That's ROTONFL to claim your free pick and 100% deposit match now. Instant reaction number 2. Yes, Jahmyr Gibbs posts historical production in a win over the New York Giants. Final score. This one is Lions 34, Giants 27 in overtime. We had a few overtimes the games today. What a day to watch football for sure. So early in this game. And look, the Giants led for most of this game. Jahmyr Gibbs bailed them out in a big, big way. I'm on Ross St. Brown too, but Jahmyr Gibbs, it was the day. So only 15 carries, 219 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns on the ground. Nice start. But Jared Goff throws 42 passes. 12 of those go to Jahmyr Gibbs. St. Brown had 13, more about him later. Gibbs catches 11 for 45 and a 3rd touchdown. I remember seeing 3 big, big plays in this game. The big touchdown that won the game for him. I mean, right there, it's Jahmyr Gibbs' season. And he hasn't always had the greatest games this season. But, man, this young man, when he's on 55-ish PPR points, didn't count it. It's got to be in the 55 range. Jamal Charles range back then. I think Charles had 59. Jerry Rice back in 1990 had like a 62-point game. He's on my roster. Yes, love Jerry Rice. But, yeah, those who rostered Jahmyr Gibbs, wow, you were treated today. Now, otherwise, it was just St. Brown. That was it. St. Brown, 9 for $149 and a touchdown. We haven't had enough of those this year, but we're certainly glad when we see those. So St. Brown does it. If you started Jared Goff, you were fine. 279 and 2, threw a pick. Fine game. Nice floor game for him. Not more better than a floor game, but not a bad game. Not a bad game at all out of him. Otherwise, look, David Montgomery, can't really advise starting him. This was a good matchup for him theoretically. 5 carries, 18 yards, 3 catches for 19 yards. So 6.7 PPR. He hasn't been finding the end zone a lot. And if he doesn't find the end zone, he's just not getting the type of usage of production that would make it worth your while to play him. So right now, I mean, you really, other than desperation, it's hard to start Montgomery because that floor is really low. And Jameson Williams. Oh, I talk about him too much. So I never have take lock. You know that. Beginning of the season, didn't like a situation. I didn't think John Morton had serious coaching experience. He was about chucking it deep to him. I go, that's never going to work. Not with Jared Goff and that interior line. And it didn't work. But then he had one last good game under Morton. And then Dan Campbell took the play calling over. And we saw the last 2 weeks coming into this one, J-Mo over 100 yards and a touchdown in each. And it looked like, man, all right, Dan Campbell unlocked them. Predictably. Jameson Williams, goose egg on 3 targets. I remember Martavis Bryant back in the day. He used to play with the Steelers. He was what we call the ultimate best ball guy because he was the guy who would get you a huge game or get you very little. I don't know. Right now, it's looking like J-Mo to me. J-Mo has a number of duds, and he has a number of really good fantasy games, and that is difficult. And you know what? This week, I ranked him as wide receiver 11. Could it have gone any more wrong? Of course not. The one week, I boosted him up the rankings because Campbell figured him out. He didn't. 42 pass attempts. 42 by Jared Goff. And J-Mo got 3. 3 targets. Brock Wright had 4. Khalif Raymond, who left this game with an ankle injury, had 2. Even Monty had 3. I don't know what to tell you. That's why I don't draft Jameson Williams. Very talented. Very talented. Could be a superstar player. Is a superstar in some way. But you can't take zeros. All right, I took him with DJ Moore, but that's another story for another day. All right. That's a but. All right. At least we were making a case for DJ. But all right, I digress. New York Giants. If you want to have fun and you didn't see this game and you can watch a replay of it, watch the replay. Jameis Winston was fun. Completes half his passes, 18 to 36. Early in the game, flea flicker. Hits Wandale for a 40-yard touchdown. Nice start. Later in the game, they run this trick play, and I got to rewatch it. I got to rewatch this play. It's a trick play. Gunnar Olszewski throws the ball across the field to Jameis Winston. Winston shakes a tackler, and I think it was like twice. He made 2 moves. He ends up getting in the end zone. An 11-yard. No, it was more than that. It was a long catch. It was 33-yard reception. 33-yard reception. And Jameis Winston was amazing, looking so fun on that. If you started him, you got 366 through the air. You got a couple touchdowns, only 1 pick. So more Santa Claus than Grinch out of him this week. We love that. Wandale had the game. Wandale, 14 targets. No other player had more than 6. So out of 36, 14 go to Wandale, 9 for $156 and a touchdown. We love playing in those PPR leagues because he has a floor every week. We don't expect this kind of game. He had a 20-point one against the Eagles, but this one, Man, 30.6 PPR points for Wan'Dale Robinson. That's why you like playing those deep leagues where you got to start like multiple receivers, multiple flexes, because that you can't bench them in leagues like that. And that's the beauty of having that. Otherwise, Tyrone Tracy had a 42-yard catch. It helped him get to 130 scrimmage yards. So nice game. 20 carries for 62, 3 yards a carry. He's not a good runner, but when you chip in 3 for 68 through the day, very, very nice. As usual, backfield was a split. And Devin Singletary. Well, Devin Singletary, 14 carries, 47 yards, and wasn't using the passing game. So, but it's one of those games. They split the work. 1 week, one guy's going to come on top. The other week, the other's. Why I put them both in the RB3 bucket. They can score as RB2s. Last week, Singletary scored 2 touchdowns, but good luck predicting which one. Outside of that, though, the Giants were fun. And Detroit, this is unlike them. They won. Great credit. They're 7-4. Giants are 2-10. The Lions were coming off a loss. They're playing at home. Usually they boat race a team like this. And they got the Thanksgiving game. Could they have done something they never do and look ahead of game? It's possible. It's possible they looked ahead of the Packers game on for Thursday. Possible. Because this is not typical Lions. But again, mentally tough team. They get it done. So we love the Lions for getting it done for fantasy football players. Dabble isn't just another DFS app. It's the ultimate social platform where you can connect with other fantasy sports lovers. Dabble lets you win big. You can win up to 5,000 times your money this football season. Starting with Dabble's easy. New users get $25 free when signing up. No deposit necessary. You check the link out in the episode description below to download Dabble below. All right, next one. I did mention this player earlier. Instant reaction number 3. Yes, I'll say his name. DJ Moore leads the Bears to a win. Was it really DJ Moore? Probably not. But you know, I love me some DJ Moore. In the last 2 weeks, he had a goose egg. I think he had a 1 for 18, and it was looking dim. Because remember, the prior 2 games, DJ Moore had gotten some stuff done. But here's the score of that game. Bears 31, Steelers 28. And I told people on the Start Sit show, I said, man, the over and under was at 47.5. Is this like an under spot or what? Wrong. Not even close on that one. So this game goes 59 points. And here's what's weird. Coming into this game, Bears offensive line has been blocking up a storm. DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monangai, the running game has been great. And I said to myself, wow, this is a Pittsburgh team that the Bears could probably have a great deal of success on the ground. Ultimately, a team like Pittsburgh, they can decide, let's try to take the run out. Let's try to make them win through the air. Probably not a bad idea. Caleb Williams is far from an established product. So DeAndre Swift, 8 for 15. Hot hand approach. Kyle Monangai gets 12 carries for 48 and a touchdown. And I think with Monangai, and I don't think there was an injury. Again, I'm watching 7 games at a time, so if I miss it, but I didn't see anything on the injury report. So my guess is it was hot hand. Monangai was running more physically. I saw that. I saw him running very physical. He had a 12-yard run in there. Solid. So that said, I think right now, if this plays out, I'm going to guess this may become a hot hand approach. That if one running back's playing than the other, it's going to get more work. I think at that point, this might be what it is. They're different runners. Swift a little better getting to the outside. Monangai's a punisher. He's a very physical runner. So very solid game on his part. Otherwise, through the air, Caleb only completes about half his passes, 19 to 35. 239, but he throws 3 touchdown passes. DJ Moore, second in targets to Odunze, but he goes 5 for 64 and 2 touchdowns. I was worried. DJ Moore took a 15-yard personal foul taunting penalty. And I know it seems like Ben Johnson is like, he really doesn't seem to have that great thing going with DJ Moore. And I go, man, please don't bench him. No, it didn't happen at all. And Odunze, who only went 3 for 53, I think it's his 4th time in 6th game with 8 or fewer PPR points. Ugh. He has like an 18 and a 20 in there as well. But yeah, it's rugged because Odunze is super talented. Now, Odunze was drawing coverage. There was a nice touchdown to DJ Moore in the middle of the field. Odunze draws the double now. And so if the offense figures this out, DJ Moore has had space to run. And this was one of those games where on the 7 targets, Caleb Williams was getting the strikes thrown in the middle of the field, because that's where DJ Moore's going to be open a lot. Now they got to figure out a way to get Odunze more production with those 9 targets. So, but again, he's getting cloud and shadow coverage and, and brackets. He's getting all that right now. And with his quarterback, it's going to be a little bit dicey there. Now, Colson Loveland comes through with 449 and a touchdown. Solid game, 5 targets. I don't think he's yet at that point where he's like a lock, a slam dunk fantasy starter. But if you're on the sketch of the tight end fringe and you don't have an automatic starter, I don't see a reason to tell you not to start him. I think there's any reason to think that he could be very, productive in this role. But back to DeAndre Swift, I'm a little bit worried because if he doesn't get that hot hand going, I think DeAndre Swift, we could be moving him down to RB3 rank, because if that's a volatility we have to worry about, it's going to be meaningful. Pittsburgh side of the ball. So again, Pittsburgh scores 28 points. Mason Rudolph, 24, 31, 171, a touchdown and a pick. Kenny Gainwell. So again, watching 7 games at a time. So Kenny Gainwell looked like it was going to be like one of those quarterback sneak plays. And Gainwell was on the wing, and he took the ball and he ran to the perimeter for 55 yards. I think he stretched the wrong hand out going for the end zone. He landed out of bounds. He was like a foot away from a touchdown. And then there was a play later where he came just short of another touchdown. So, but that said, Gainwell has a day. 6 for 30. I caught all 6 targets. 10 for 92. So he gets 122 scrimmage and 6 catches. So you got 18 PPR points. Now, Jaylen Warren was the beneficiary. When Gainwell was gassed on that 55-yard run, he had to come out. So Warren punches in the short touchdown. Warren goes 18 for 68 and a touchdown. Warren does not see a single target. Very clear that they both are very good pass catchers, but Gainwell is obviously the preferred pass catcher out of the back. When he had that huge game in the air last week too, right? So, but they're both good plays, depending on the opponent. Obviously, Warren's the one you play because his role is more stable. But if you do see a favorable matchup for Pittsburgh, Kenny Gainwell is worth starting, and because he has that dual eligibility in terms of, not eligibility, but dual usefulness as a runner and a receiver. DK Metcalf was in and out of the game with an ankle sprain, so we'll see how he shapes up with that. I don't know if he ever got officially ruled out. I kept seeing him on the field, and 5 for 22 on 8 targets. But the good news, he rushed for a touchdown. So he ends up with a brutal 34 scrimmage yards, which is his average yards over the last month. But he did get you 5 catches. He got you a touchdown. So if you play him in a PPR league, you got about 15 points, 14, 15. And so at the end of the day with that, you're okay with that. Nobody else did. Calvin Austin, 4 for 36. Probably aren't starting him. The tight ends, the best one was Darnell Washington, 2 for 22. So again, not much. Mason Rudolph, different than Rodgers. He was able to buy some time on some plays. I think that helped, and they made a comeback. But, this offense, other than the running game, it's a problem. It's a real problem. All right, everybody. We are going to go over more of this week's instant reactions after we take a short break. All right, everybody. Instant reaction number 4. The Eagles shine in the first half, but the Cowboys win. Cowboys 24 and the Eagles 21. This was as insane of a game as you are going to see. Well, I guess we saw the Chiefs and the Colts today. So maybe this one isn't a whole lot different. So, all right. So all that said, a very weird game. The Eagles score 3 touchdowns early in this one. First drive, touchdown. Second drive, touchdown. Third drive in the second quarter, touchdown. The drive lengths, 7 plays, 50 yards, 12 for 76, 6 for 66. It is somewhat early in the second quarter, and the Eagles are on blowout watch. And then Dallas throws an interception in the next drive, and it looks like this thing's going to implode. Nope. All of a sudden, the Eagles stopped having answers. The Cowboys' defense was flying all over the field. Saquon Barkley cannot get anything going on the ground. 10 for 22, by the way. Ugh. The passing game was clicking early. Kevin Patullo, offensive coordinator, just cannot figure out how to get a flow going on this thing. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, you can blame the players, but all season long, this offense had no identity. And they had it through 3 drives, and then they lost that identity. So not so good. But let's go to Dallas first. Dallas again, 5-5, 5-1. So Dallas is trying to get their way into playoff contention here. Eagles down to 8-3. They're not really worried about that. Dak Prescott, it was a slow start. It looked like it was going to be a bad day for Dak. Ends up with 354, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He also runs for 9 yards and a touchdown. So it ends up being a phenomenal fantasy day for Dak Prescott playing at home. He's had a great history against the Eagles. But yeah, Dak completely got it done. Javonte Williams, 20 for 87 on the ground, 14 through the air. So you got you 101 scrimmage yards and a couple of catches. Again, he hasn't had the ceiling games, but his floor has been rock solid. But George Pickens, he was the man. He was frequently in the middle of traffic, going up over defenders, caught all 9 targets for $146 and a touchdown. The man could not do a thing wrong. I love CeeDee Lamb, and CeeDee Lamb's an elite receiver, but I don't think you could say George Pickens is any less of a player. They're very different players, but I don't think you can say George Pickens is any less than CeeDee Lamb. Pickens went up and there were 3 defenders on one play. Dude goes up and just snags the ball. He is that sick of a great player. CeeDee Lamb, 4 for 75 on 11 targets. Obviously, he gets, teams pay more attention to him. But at some point, Pickens is more dangerous. Pickens is a downfield guy. CD could slice and dice you in a lot of ways, but man, George Pickens can take you for 40 over the top at any time. So I wonder if defenses will start to make an adjustment. Jake Ferguson got a lot of late targets to go 5 for 60. It was looking grim, 2 for 20 in the fourth quarter, but he comes on. But basically it was a lot of dysfunction on the Eagles, a lot of turnovers. They had fumbles. Saquon fumbled. They had a fumble on a punt that gave Dallas a ball, and Dallas didn't score, and Dallas did not score on that. Again, nuts of a game. And then Dallas gets the ball late, and they win with Brandon Aubrey field goal to put this thing away. But yeah, anyway, Dak flying here, great for him. Dallas coming out of their bye is on fire. If that defense keeps playing fast, this is gonna be a fun team to watch down the stretch because the offense can match blow for blow with teams when they have to. But the slow start was troubling. Eagles side of the ball. So Hurts' numbers are great. Throws for 289 and a touchdown. Ran for 33 and 2 touchdowns. One of his better fantasy games since he had that 2-game stretch a while back, Minnesota, and there was another game where he was on fire. But A.J. Brown showed up, and it looked like he was going to be a huge game. Now, Brown just missed a second touchdown. He hit the ball with the pylon for a second touchdown, and then as he did it, the ball squirted out of his hand, took a touchdown away that Hurts ended up getting on the ground. But Brown could have easily had a second touchdown. 8 for 110 and a touchdown. You're not going to complain with the season he's had. But yeah, he was. If Philly had kept doing what they did early in this game, and Patullo, whatever offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo did, that flow was gone. And so it was a problem because that should have been a much bigger game. Devontae Smith, 11 targets, 6 for 89. Fine game for him. And then now, if you had Saquon in fantasy, he lost the fumble and it killed you. The 22 rushing yards are rough, but he caught 7 for 52. So you're looking at 74 scrimmage yards, 7 catches, and a lost fumble. So at the end of the day, you probably got 12, 13 PPR points. It's not great, but it's been the floor games that many weeks Barkley's been getting you. Schedule's easy the rest of the way, but that doesn't mean anything because this wasn't a bad matchup. So Dallas Goedert, 2 for 20. He's been really down on the yardage the last month. The touchdowns are starting to dry up, so a little bit of a concern there. But overall, Cowboys get the big win. All right, you dominate your fantasy football league all season long. Now it's time to show it off. Trophy Smack turns your league domination into hardware built to flex. From championship belts like the one over my shoulder, trophies, rings, and chains. They've got everything to make true champion needs to make victories unforgettable. Don't forget about shaming that league loser. They've got items like high visibility loser vests, embarrassing singlets, love that, and humiliating license plate frames. Trophy Smack fuels the glory and punishment every league needs to keep the season unforgettable. Trash talk fades, but hardware lasts forever. You earned this moment, claim it. Visit TrophySmack.com to lock in your hardware and take it 10% off with the code ROTOSMACK10. That's so TrophySmack.com. The code is ROTOSMACK10. You can thank us later. All right, everybody. Instant reaction number 5. The Jaguars, and they topped the Cardinals in a slop-fest. This, for fantasy, thing of beauty. Real football, wow. This was some bad football by 2, as I'll say, fairly sketchy teams. Jaguars 27, Cardinals 24. Jaguars go to 7-4. Woo. And the Cardinals fall to 3-8. Trevor Lawrence. I thought Jameis Winston was a Grinch. I think Lawrence is becoming that. So for fantasy, all right, 256 and 3 touchdowns. You like that. 29 rushing yards. Beautiful. Throws 3 picks and loses a fumble. There are plays where he doesn't read the defense, does not have a clue, but defense kept him in the game, and he was able to chuck the ball enough for fantasy. Quarterback 2, fine. But, man, I don't want him piloting my organization. This is not a good quarterback. Like I said, if you like him, great. But the mistakes, they are way too frequent. Travis Etienne continued. Now, remember last week, Bashal Tutin had a real close on the carries. The prior 3 weeks had been Etienne's backfield completely. Well, it went back to that. Etienne, 15 carries, Tutin, 7. Big discrepancy. Tutin had 1 target. Etienne had 4. So Etienne took care of business. 15 for 86 on the ground, including a 45-yard run. 3 for 30 and a touchdown through the air. So Etienne continues 4 straight weeks of strong double-digit PPR performances. Now, Brenton Strange back from the IR, 5 for 93. He was coming on before the injury. If you need help with tight end and Brenton Strange is available, you might want to make an ad on him this week because he is a very, very good football player. Parker Washington, Jacoby Myers both do similar work. They both score touchdowns. Myers 50 yards, Washington 71 yards. I think Myers is more reliable week to week. Parker Washington be more up and down. And I don't know that their roles are going to change much when Brian Thomas Jr. gets back. They don't really play that role. And obviously, Trevor Lawrence has very little chemistry with Brian Thomas. So there's that. But anyway, big win for the Jaguars on the road. But again, we just see the same inconsistency. But the good news, ETN is really bringing it, and Brenton Strange is a player to watch. And then the Cardinals side. This week, Brissett only threw 1 touchdown, but 317 through the air, 20 on the ground. It's been great. Now the rushing attack, those who asked me about starting Bam Knight, I go, he could fall in the end zone. He did. 10 carries, 12 yards. But he also caught 4 for 20. So he got you, 13. So if you were stuck and you had to go with him, great. Otherwise, the receiver, Michael Wilson does it again. 15 targets, 10 for $118. The big question is this. What is Wilson's role when Marvin Harrison comes back? Marvin Harrison was their lead receiver, dominating those outside targets. Wilson was playing the slot a lot. Now he's playing more on the outside. Be interesting to see what the Cardinals do. But how do you put that genie back in the bottle? I mean, Wilson's performed better with Brissett than Harrison has. Not saying he's a better player. He's not. But the connection and the skill sets match up. Wilson on the perimeter is a good perimeter receiver. That works well with Jacoby Brissett does. Be nice if they could work Harrison and him with McBride, make all 3 work. See how that shakes out. McBride, 9 for 79. For him, with Brissett, that's a floor game. But that's as good of a tight end game as you can want without a touchdown, right? Greg Dortch scores again, 6 for 53. So as long as Harrison remains out, and it may not be long, but Dortch, until Harrison's back, Dortch is somebody you can plug in. He had 9 targets in this one. But all that said, Cardinals, fun for fantasy. Keep rolling. Running backs, try to avoid them unless you have to. Michael Carter did catch 3 balls as well. So Benson's probably close coming back. So we'll see how that goes. All right, everybody. So thanks to our sponsor, Chalkboard, where you simply choose more or less on your favorite players and win up to 5,000 times your money. And thanks to everyone for listening. Come back next week for another edition of the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast.